Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Planetarium live stream. I apologize for the little bit of delay in our start. I've got a slightly different setup for today, and we're having a little technical difficulties at the start, but we should be good to go. So yeah, welcome. I'm Jessica. I am the Planetarium Director, and helping me out is one of our students who I'll let say hi and introduce herself. Hopefully that came through. That's one of the technical issues we were having. But anyway, so tonight we are going to be doing our monthly constellation show, taking a look at what stars and constellations you can find in June and some of the stories behind them. Now, as always, if you have any questions throughout the show, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Ali is going to be watching that for me and will let me know as questions come up. But if we don't get to your question right away, don't worry, we will make sure to answer any questions we missed at the end of the show. All right, so with that, let me get everything set up here. And again, I apologize that I'm a little bit slower with this. As I said, I'm on a slightly different setup. Oh my gosh, I just hid my camera. How do I show it back? No. Show self. Okay. And pen. Okay. Hopefully that works. Looks like it's working. No, it just switched. Yeah, every everything about just working on a different computer seems to make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But we should be all good. Everything should be up and going. So, for anyone who's joining us for their first Constellation Storytime show, first, hello, welcome. We do these shows using a program called Stellarium. That's what I have up right now. That's what you're seeing. It is a really awesome program. It's basically a planetarium in your computer. You give it a date, time, and location, and it shows you exactly what the sky would look like. So since we are located in Duluth, Minnesota, that is what I have Stellarium set for, and it is set for right now. And so we'll see, days are definitely getting longer. The sun is still up right now. I think I'm still getting used to that. There are definitely times where I've looked at my clock and looked outside and go, oh, hey, the sun's still up. Oh my gosh. It feels really good though to have some extra daylight, especially now that I'm spending a lot more time in the planetarium. It's nice. So sun is still up, but in order for us to talk about constellations and stuff, we need to speed up time for the sun to set. So I'm going to do just that. And we will watch the sun set. And we'll go probably until about 10, yeah, 10:30, 10:40, somewhere around there, where we have nice, good, dark skies. Sun has set, skies have darkened. So this is what the sky will look like in Duluth about 10:30 tonight, 10:40. For anyone who is not in Duluth, your sky will look pretty similar to this so long as you are in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to see a very different sky than we see here. But if you want to know exactly what your sky would look like, you can actually download this program yourself. It is free to download on your computer, and you can find a link in the video description. So we are going to get started here in the north with a very familiar set of stars. And it is, of course, these 7 stars right here. Is my mouse showing up on the screen? Looks like it. Okay. I had a different computer setup. So these 7 stars are the Big Dipper, which is actually not a constellation. It is an asterism, so it's a smaller grouping of stars within a larger constellation. In this case, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper are a part of the Greek constellation of Ursa Major, or the Big Bear. And so to see the bear, and I'm having trouble seeing it on my screen because it's so bright in this office, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the lines on here. To see the bear, we have to add in some more tails, or some more stars. The handle of the Big Dipper is actually the tail of our bear. The pot of the dipper is part of the bear's body. And then we go forward a little bit to get to his head. And then down below we have his legs, just like that. Now, our Big Dipper is something I like to start with. One, because it's a group of stars most people know. It's fairly easy to find since the stars are pretty bright, but especially this time of year, the Big Dipper can help you find a lot of other stars and constellations. So that's what the bulk of our show tonight is going to be, is how we can star hop starting from the Big Dipper to find lots of other constellations. And our first star hopping is going to be from the Big Dipper over to the Little Dipper, which is also Ursa Minor, our little bear. So for this first star hop, we are going, and again, my screen, I am having trouble seeing where everything is. Oh, that's right, I have a touch screen. I forget that sometimes. Okay, so for our first star hop, we are going to start with these front two stars in the cup of the Big Dipper. These are our pointer stars because if we connect them in a line, they point us to this star. This star is Polaris, also known as the North Star, and as you can see, it is the end of the handle of the Little Dipper. So, if you've gone out and you've tried to find the Little Dipper and you couldn't, that is not that is that's not your fault. The stars in the Little Dipper are very dim. There's only about 3 that can be easily seen, and even those you have to have pretty dark skies. You can't see them in decently light polluted skies like you can the Big Dipper. And so to see all of the stars in the Little Dipper, you have to be far away from any light pollution out in super dark skies, which Minnesota does actually have. Up in northern Minnesota, there is the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, which is an international dark sky sanctuary. It has the darkest skies that you can get, and I always highly encourage people to go up there if you ever get a chance. The sky is just breathtaking up there. It's beautiful, and it is the only time I have seen all of the stars in the Little Dipper was when I was up there. All right, so we're gonna do some more star hopping here. We're gonna take those pointer stars again, but this time, instead of stopping at Polaris, we're gonna keep going until we end up at this W. This W is the Greek constellation of Cassiopeia, the Queen. Now I'll put up some artistic depictions of these constellations. For the bears, it decently looks like it's quote-unquote supposed to. Yes, we have bears with these long tails, which is unusual. But our queen there is definitely an example of a constellation where you've got to use some imagination to see what it's supposed to be. I know a lot of people think of the W as, instead of being the queen herself, they view it as the crown that the queen wears. You can see in this depiction, I don't quite know how they're lining this up in this depiction. But the way we picture her is a little bit differently than what Stellarium's artwork shows. So we picture her as if the star that's highlighted right now is her head, and she's sitting in her throne, and we're getting a side view, and she's looking off this way. So this would be her back, her upper legs, lower legs, and big long clown feet. So that is how we depict Cassiopeia, the queen. But again, feel free to use your imagination and do what you must. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do here is we are going to turn the sky around over to the south. And we are going to do some more star hopping. And this time we are going to start with, let me zoom out some here. There we go. Instead of using our pointer stars in the Big Dipper, we're going to use the handle of the Big Dipper. Now, the handle is curved, or it's arced. So what we say is we follow the curve of the handle, or we follow the arc of the handle to this bright star, which is Arcturus. So from the Big Dipper, you follow the handle and you arc to Arcturus. Now, Arcturus itself has a really cute story associated with it. And this comes from the Lumi Native Americans. So to them, this star is known as Coyote's eyeball. So Coyote in most stories is usually a mischievous character. In this story, he has come across a group of pretty ladies that he is trying to impress. And he decides the best way to impress them would be to pluck out his eyeballs and juggle them. I don't know why he thought that would be impressive, but that's what he decided to do. So he's juggling them, and he keeps throwing them higher and higher, trying to look more and more impressive. But unfortunately for Coyote, he throws one of them just a little bit too hard, and it ends up going plop into the night sky. And so this is Coyote's lost eyeball, and he is left with just one while on Earth. So that, again, is the Lumi Native American story for Coyote's eyeball, which is also known as the star Arcturus. Now, Arcturus is part of the Greek constellation of Bootes the bear herder. It's a man who's supposed to be herding the bears across the sky. And I already have it highlighted here. Most people think of him as a kite. I kind of think he looks like an ice cream cone. Either way, I have a hard time seeing a person out of this. You'll also notice that in this program, they add on some stars down here to try and make it look like legs. But like Cassiopeia, this is definitely an example of needing some imagination to warp this into the picture it's supposedly representing. All right. So we're going to do our next bit of star hopping. If you remember, excuse me, we started out here at the Big Dipper, and we followed the handle and we arced to Arcturus. Well, our next step is to spike down to this bright star, which is Spica. So that is our kind of star hopping. From the Big Dipper, we arc to Arcturus, and then we spike to Spica. And Spica is in the Greek constellation of Virgo the Maiden. Now, Virgo, her name is actually Persephone. Sorry, one sec, I need a drink of water. Okay. Virgo's name is Persephone. She is the daughter of the goddess Demeter, who is the goddess of the harvest, so part of her powers is controlling the weather. Persephone is known for being very beautiful, and this gets her into a little bit of trouble. Well, not necessarily her into trouble, but when Hades, who's the god of the underworld, first lays eyes on Persephone, he is absolutely smitten, falls in love with her, and decides that she must be his queen. Instead of wooing her and trying to win her over like, maybe a normal person would, Hades kidnaps Persephone and takes her down to the underworld, and imprisons her down there, hoping that she will eventually fall in love with him and they can rule the underworld. Well, when her mother, Demeter, realizes that Persephone is missing, she finally gets someone who saw what happened, tells her where Persephone is. So she storms down to the underworld to confront Hades and get her daughter back. Well, Hades is not relenting. He's not about to let her go. So the two of them argue for days. And of course, in this time, Persephone ends up getting hungry. And she ends up eating one single pomegranate seed. And while this may not seem like a big deal to you or I, to the ancient Greeks who created this story, um, where you eat is your home. So by eating in the underworld, even just a single pomegranate seed, by eating while she was there, she had made the underworld her home. And that was Hades' plan all along. And so once he realized that Persephone had eaten, that was her home now, he turns to Demeter and goes, "Ha, this happened, she belongs here, she can't leave." But Demeter wasn't having it, so they continue arguing until they both begrudgingly reach a compromise. Persephone will spend 6 months of the year up on Earth with her mother, and 6 months of the year down in the underworld with Hades. So for the 6 months that we can see Persephone up in the sky, that is when she's on the Earth with her mother. Her mother is, of course, very happy to have her daughter with her, and since she controls the weather, when she's happy, that means we have good, happy, nice weather. Then for the 6 months of the year that Persephone is below the horizon and we can't see her in our sky, that is when she's down in the underworld and she's with Hades. Demeter is, of course, sad, and that ends up resulting in bad weather. So that is the story of Persephone, and also how the Greeks try to explain these seasonal patterns in weather, which I think is just really cool. All right, we're going to do one last little bit of star hopping, turning us over to the southeast here. And I'm struggling to see. There we go. Let me zoom us back in a little bit. So I'm going to have us come back to Bootes here. Right next to Bootes, you might notice there's this backward C. This backward C is Corona Borealis, the northern crown. Let me turn the art off real quick. And this constellation is going to help us find the last constellation that we're going to talk about tonight, which is Hercules. So the trick that I first heard to find Hercules is to look for the keystone. And I still don't know what exactly a keystone looks like, so that wasn't helpful advice to me. So here is something that I think is much better. What we're going to do is we are going to turn this crown into a spoon, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but that's part of why I insist that Bootes here looks like an ice cream cone, because then you need a spoon to help you eat your ice cream. It makes a little bit more sense. So to do that, we are going to add on these stars, these two stars, to make a handle for our spoon. And by doing that, these two stars that we found are the belt of Hercules. And so we can see his body, some legs, and some arms. And that is my trick for finding Hercules. I think it works a lot better. If that works for you, fantastic. If the keystone thing worked for you, fantastic. But yeah, that's, I think, the last constellation that we are going to show tonight. We're getting some really good spring constellations up, lots of fun ones to go out and find. And sitting here low in the east, we are starting to see our summer constellations, because summer is right around the corner. So we will be talking about those probably starting next month. we'll get into some of our summer constellations. All right, so with that, I will bring us back over to Zoom. Let me take my face off of the main thing. There we go. All right, did we have any questions? All right. Well, we'll do kind of one last call for any questions if anyone has them. You can go ahead and put them down in the comments. I just realized I did not save the picture of our upcoming schedule, so I will just talk about it. It was in the rolling kind of pre-show stuff, but Friday and Saturday we do our in-person shows here at the Planetarium. Fridays is Adventure to the Edge of the Universe. Saturday at 2 p.m. So Friday is at 7 p.m. Saturday at 2 p.m. is our children's show, which is in my backyard. It's a new one. We did our first showing of it last weekend. It is great for younger kids. And then Saturday at 7 p.m. our general public show is Out There, The Quest for Extrasolar Worlds, it's fantastic. If you'd like more information on those shows, such as more detailed descriptions, or for the Saturday shows, we also have trailers. You can head to our website, which is listed in the video description, and take a look at all of the information for our upcoming shows. All right, I am not seeing any questions come through, so I think we will wrap it up there. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. We hope you had fun taking a look at the night sky, and we hope to see you again either in person or at our next live stream event, which next Wednesdays will be Ask an Astronomer. So we'll be here to answer your questions. All right. Well, thank you again. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye.